A research team in Alaska was out collecting glacier samples when they ran into something straight out of a nightmare. A lone orca, trapped in the ice, its body torn up with deep wounds from the barnacles. What happened next was pure insanity. They threw logic out the window, went all in, and pulled off a rescue so wild it left the whole world speechless. In 2000, Dr. Robert Anders led a research team along Alaska's coast to study glacier melting. Aboard the Arctic Voyager, they collected ice samples, documenting climate patterns. But as they approached a glacier, a distress signal came through. Marine life specialist Sophia Rivera had detected an orca in distress near a cove. The team quickly shifted focus, since rescue was necessary to save this orca from the barnacles, slowly eating up her life. And by now, it had reached a critical point, putting its life in a critical threat, barely clinging on. Diver Jake Lawson prepared to enter the freezing water while veterinarian Nina Patel readied a treatment kit. Ethan Brooks organized rescue equipment, and the rest of the team monitored the situation. It was never going to be easy for them. They were on the mission to study samples, basically, and they had limited resources to help the orca. But when Mother Nature required help, the courageous team rose up to the challenge. Upon arrival, they found the orca near a rocky outcrop, weighed down by barnacles. Exhaustion was clear in its sluggish movements, and the raw wounds hinted at a growing infection. Jake carefully approached and guided it to a safer area where Sophia and Nina could work. The goal was simple: stabilize the orca and help it return to the wild. Back on the ship, Dr. Carter monitored the orca's vitals through a specialized device attached temporarily to its dorsal fin. The heart rate was low, and signs of dehydration and infection were setting in. Removing the barnacles quickly was the only way to prevent lasting damage. Dr. Anders scanned the data, running through possible treatments in his head, while Michael Reynolds logged every detail, knowing this rescue was just as crucial to their research as the ice samples they had planned to collect. Under Sophia's guidance, the team got to work, tackling the barnacle-crusted weight dragging the orca down. Armed with dull-edged scrapers and precision scalpels, they moved slowly, every scrape deliberate. The ship's deck was tight, limiting their movement, and without proper lifting equipment, they had to work around the orca's natural position, careful not to strain its body. Jake did his best to keep the massive creature steady, but every shift in the water sent ripples through their workspace, forcing them to pause and readjust. The barnacles weren't merely a nuisance. Their tough shells clung to the orca's skin, resembling metal. Nina applied a mild acetic acid solution, letting it seep into the cracks, loosening the grip of the parasites. Some peeled away with a careful nudge, while others refused to budge, demanding patience and precise pressure. The orca's dark eyes followed their movements, wide and alert, not panicked, but watching, studying them. Each time they touched a tender spot, its muscles twitched, a silent plea for care. The freezing water didn't help. Their fingers numbed under the constant submersion, making every tool feel heavier, every motion slower. Ethan Brooks hustled back and forth, ensuring a steady supply of warm towels and antiseptics. But there was only so much they could do with limited space and equipment. Dr. Carter monitored the orca's vitals, warning them to pace themselves. Too much stress, and the animal could thrash, undoing their careful work. Bit by bit, they pressed on, clearing patches of rough shell and revealing the raw, wounded skin beneath. Each barnacle removed was a victory, but there were still so many left. Throughout the recovery process, removing the barnacles from the orca's skin became one of the most daunting challenges. Initially, the team had attempted to use chemical treatments to break down the barnacles, but the results were far from satisfactory. The chemicals not only failed to remove the crust effectively, they also worsened the damage to the orca's skin, leaving it more vulnerable and causing wounds to wash over its body. Faced with this setback, the team had to make a difficult decision. They decided that the barnacles needed to be removed manually, even though the weather was far from cooperative. The harsh conditions, with icy winds and turbulent seas, made it nearly impossible to perform such a delicate procedure. Yet, with unwavering determination, the team braved the adverse weather. Working in shifts, they carefully chipped away at each barnacle using specialized tools, taking every precaution to protect the orca's sensitive skin. The task was painstaking, with every manual removal requiring precise and gentle handling to avoid further injury. Despite the relentless cold and the ongoing threat of worsening weather, the team pressed on. Their efforts to restore the orca's skin and remove the harmful barnacles were a testament to their commitment. Every carefully executed step in the manual removal process was driven by the knowledge that protecting the orca's skin was vital to its recovery. The challenge was immense, but their resolve was stronger, and each small victory in removing a barnacle was a step toward giving the orca a fighting chance at healing. Sophia Rivera's commitment to the orca's well-being grew even stronger as she implemented a more cautious rehabilitation routine. The team discovered that every movement had to be carefully calibrated. Too little activity could stall its muscle recovery, while any overexertion risked worsening its condition. With Jake Lawson's careful underwater supervision, the controlled swim sessions often turned into a delicate balancing act, as the orca struggled to adapt to a confined space that still mimicked the vast openness of the ocean. Its initial hesitance sometimes led to frantic, uncoordinated bursts of activity, leaving the team to work quickly to restore calm. The hours dragged on, with the team working tirelessly. The orca's progress was marked by long stretches of cautious monitoring, punctuated by moments when its condition worsened unexpectedly. The animal's movements became erratic, and its stress levels soared, forcing the team to revise its care protocols repeatedly. Even as the orca began to swim with slightly more vigor, its strength was still fragile, and the risk of relapse loomed large. As evening settled over the Alaskan coast, the team gathered once more on the deck of the Arctic Voyager. Throughout the chaotic afternoon, Sophia remained close to the orca, her voice calm and steady as she reassured it. The pain in its eyes was still there, but little by little, it started to fade. It was as if the collective care of the team was slowly bringing back its will to fight. Jake, from underwater, kept the team updated, noting that the orca's movements were becoming smoother, less strained. When the storm finally passed and the sky cleared, relief swept through the team. They gathered on deck for a quick debrief. Dr. Anders acknowledged their fast response and teamwork. Nature had thrown an unpredictable challenge their way, but through their combined efforts, they had made real progress in helping this animal. It was a clear reminder of why they did this work in the first place. As time passed, a fragile hope began to emerge, despite the mounting challenges. The orca's breathing steadied somewhat, and the dull look in its eyes gave way to a faint spark of resilience. Yet beneath that glimmer lay ongoing struggles. As the day went on, the rescue team ran into unexpected problems. The weather took a sudden turn, bringing sharp, icy winds and heavy clouds rolling in fast. Years of training took over. The team worked quickly and smoothly, each move careful as the storm got closer. Their effort paid off. The platform held steady against the storm, proving just how well prepared and united they were. With the storm creating rough conditions, the orca's rehabilitation sessions had to be temporarily put on hold. Dr. Carter made the call, noticing the animal's stress levels spiked in the unstable waters. With the immediate crisis over, the focus shifted to long-term recovery. The orca, now showing signs of improvement, moved with a little more energy and a little less hesitation. The team introduced a more active rehabilitation session, with Jake guiding it through careful movements in the enclosure. The once struggling creature was starting to regain its instincts. Its dorsal fin cut through the water with more strength, and its eyes, though still tired, held a flicker of life. Before turning in for the night, Sophia took one last look at the orca drifting peacefully in its safe enclosure.